So Rajiv Nayan, Senior Associate Research Fellow from IDSA, is still with us. So we have spoken about the trends, the swing states holding the key to this US elections. So despite Trump's, claims of election fraud, he is having a lead. So as we see this US elections over 2020 and 2024, there's been an exceptionally high voter turnout. How do you see these elections different from the ones in 2020?
Definitely, it is quite enigmatic. When the high voter turnout came in, we all expected that Kamala Harris will have a better say. But somehow, what we find that Donald Trump has got the A's. And why? This is the question which I think
Yes.
we all are asking. Why it has come so? So it seems the media, the leading media houses, or you can say the mainstream media of United States, projected Kamala Harris. At the same time, the Republican camp, they went to the people and they have got their own propaganda machinery, propaganda instrument, and quite good also, where educated people generally don't reach out or they don't go there, especially working class or people who are not very well off. So reports were coming in some of the news media were reporting that Trump is sending or telling them, sending the message that okay, so Kamala Harris is going to open the border. All the Republicans, all the Mexicans or say Latin Americans people will come in. People from other parts of the world will also join in. So your jobs will be affected. Even if you are a Latino, what happens? You are there in United States for your economic well-being, your own individual attainment. So sometimes what happens, you forget about your ethnic loyalties, your ethnic background. You say, okay, I am going to be affected because of this opening of the border. So better we should be aware of the president or the party or the group that is advocating opening a border which will affect my uh, job prospects. In fact, employment is a major issue in United States. In the presidential election also, somehow it appeared subdued. But for the ruling party or even for the government administration, it has been struggling to overcome this problem, major problem. In fact, if you recollect, very recently, the US government cut down interest rate, which sent a very positive signal to all over the world. I mean, before it cut down its interest rate, European Union had also cut down its interest rate, just showing, demonstrating that yeah, they are slightly confident about inflation. But the question mark came, yeah, are you confident about unemployment? So there was no answer. In fact, when the interest rate was cut down, yeah, on inflation, they were hopeful to have contained inflation. But on employment, the government and the questions were asked to the officials, and they did not answer properly. So, a major factor in the rural counties, remote parts of United States, which are generally not captured by the by say even not only the mainstream media, which we generally read or tend to read, but even by those who are those who conduct opinion polls or exit polls, or in fact, but when they started going down deeper, then they started realizing that the what is projected in the cities, in the towns, uh, is completely different from what is the situation existing in the rural counties. So people have got this economic issue in their minds. What will happen to them? Because they went to United States leaving everything. Even Indians, they don't go United States to exercise their democratic rights. They just go there to have a better life, or they prosper there in that country, because this is a country of opportunities. There is no doubt about it. So all over the world, people go there. So because they want to secure their position. So I think that played a major role in this election, which was which was noticed, which was underlined, but it was not emphasized properly. So I think that is coming up. UK people economy still matters. Whatever you say, it is not, it is economy stupid, many people talk about. So I think it is the economy stupid which played the major role in consolidating uh, Donald Trump. In fact, when Biden had come, there were many factors which really brought Biden down, and Trump really was moving quite fast. And Kamala Harris, to a great extent, arrested his fast rise and somehow checked his electoral, we can say, growth. We were expecting that she would perform. She has performed, no doubt. Like, she has consolidated, she is fighting. But in swing states, yeah, it is quite surprising. Even in the Democrats' hold, she is losing votes. That is a bit surprising. Why she is losing votes? It is she is scoring less vote than uh, Biden in some of the election, some of the results which have come in some of the counties, especially in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a stronghold of Democrats, and all were expecting that Kamala Harris will be taking more than 75% of votes. She will be garnering, and but there also she was scoring less than 70. She's still there. That's why you can see Trump challenging Philadelphia, that he is not accepting Philadelphia because he feared that Philadelphia may change the tilt. The gain which he has made in the rural counties may be neutralized by Philadelphia voters. And there are two, three more areas, counties where Democrats have got support base. And if this support base really comes out as we are expecting, that higher turnout could be of Democrats. This is what we expected earlier, but it is proving out to be a turnout for Republicans. So we don't know, but yeah, the trade indicators are showing so. Indicators are demonstrating that yeah, the Republicans and Democrat are have taken the lead, and they have gotten aces.
Yeah, request you, Rajiv sir, to stay with us as I also bring in my colleague Anil Thomas on the latest trends. Swing states trends are now showing favors for Trump in Georgia and North Carolina. Anil?
Good morning, Tanvi. Well, very much on the expected lines. North Carolina 2020, a repeat of what he managed to win. Of the 7 swing states, the only swing state that Trump had managed to hold was North Carolina. So he's managed to retain that. A flip in Georgia is something, that brings smiles to the Trump camp, and that's indicative of the fact that Trump is expected to speak in a short while from now, while the Kamala Harris team, along with the Democrats, have called off their speech for the day. They are expected to come back tomorrow, and Kamala Harris is expected to speak tomorrow. Is indicative of the swing state that he's managed to capture in Georgia. I think you will see a different Trump altogether when he comes out and and he addresses his supporters in a short while from now. But remember, Republicans have always dominated on that particular seat in Georgia. If you look at the history from 2000, all the elections that Georgia has seen, it was the only time in 2020 that Democrats had flipped that seat. Joe Biden had flipped that seat. So it's historically been a seat that the Republicans managed to hold. But, once again, Trump coming out strongly and winning that seat along with North Carolina surely settles those, unsettled nerves in either of the camps. I think now the writing is very much clear on the wall for Kamala Harris and Democrats. They need to win at least the 3 important states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and also look at maybe Arizona as a bonus that they can pick up. It could still go down to the wire, but I think, the early lead in Pennsylvania too, that Trump is open close to 50,000 votes, clearly is indicative of, a red march ahead, but we'll wait for the final numbers to come out. But as things stand, one state in that 7 swing states being flipped by Trump, and that along with North Carolina clearly leaves the Republicans happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, Anil, so as we are seeing these latest trends by Edison Research on our screens now, Kamala Harris's team Democrats have won, in fact, New Mexico. So it takes the total tally for Kamala Harris to 187 now.
Well, exactly. There is a lot of catching up that needs to be done, especially why I mentioned those 3 swing states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, along with Wisconsin. Pennsylvania has 19 electoral votes, Michigan has 15, and Wisconsin has close to 10 electoral votes. And why does Wisconsin matter so much? For the simple reason, the last two elections or the last two roads to White House have led through this particular swing state seat. Remember, the winning margin in both the elections in 2016 as well as in 2020 was a little over 1%. So you could understand how close this election could get. But Pennsylvania, the way things stand, Kamala Harris needs to win that particular swing state to be in the race. But we'll wait and watch. But as things stand, things not looking pretty comfortable for Kamala Harris and the Democrats. But I think once the votes are counted, the entire votes are counted, we'll get a much clearer picture. But as things stand, it's that fight for the conservatives. As many said, this particular elections is the fight for the conservatives, especially Trump and the policies that he, thought that he could, that he promised to deliver. So it's the vote for the conservatives, and especially for women's rights. When the ballot boxes are further open, we'll get a clearer picture of that. But at least in urban cities, the vote is tilted very much in Trump's favor. It's the rural areas where a strong presence that Kamala Harris manages to make a return or not, we'll wait and watch.
Okay. Coming back to you, Rajiv ji. So should Kamala Harris lose, she will not be able to make history as the first US woman president and would follow Hillary Clinton's footsteps. What does that do, if anything, for the American woman and for the election of women presidents in the US in the years ahead?
Yeah, that will really be sad. We all were expecting that Kamala Harris will be making a history this time, and she will be the first woman president, with some South Asian or Indian descent, Indian origin, and plus she's an aggressive woman, and she could be still the race is not closed, so I'll say that she could be a good president also if she is elected. But she's catching up. I have slight disagreement with the number. I just checked when your staff was speaking. It is 210. It is 210 for Kamala Harris also, and 246 for Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is definitely coming up, and he is surging ahead. In many of the states have been. I mean, this is projection, of course, not victory, but yeah, she is also doing well. But he has got the lead, and so that will be a very unfortunate day for United States. This is a country that really showcases its democracy, and a woman is not elected as its president. Just compared to it, you find that even in the developing world, even in South Asia, we have got too many women leading their countries. In South Asia, you can find that Mrs. Indira Gandhi was our prime minister. Even in Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto was its prime minister. In Bangladesh, I mean, a country like Bangladesh had now, because Muhammad Yunus is the administrator there. So all had got, even Sri Lanka had got women leaders. But unfortunately, this is shocking that the United States, the leader of the democratic world, is not having a woman as its president. And the most shocking part is the election. It is not matter of just an accident. It's our coincidence. It's a matter of design. Means campaign was launched during the election that woman should not be president, and Obama had to come out and appeal to even black voters. Forget about other voters. Even black male voters were unwilling to vote for Kamala Harris, and she is supposed to have a strong base among black people, black population of the United States. His mother was a very famous economist, a person from Africa, Professor Harris. Although he is not in the picture in this election, maybe he is old or some other reasons. That is very, very shocking. That even black males are not voting for Kamala Harris. And Latino, yes, of course, they are also against it. And of all the opinion polls or all the polls which you just check, you will find that white males, of course, are predominantly against Kamala Harris. So this is a very strange country that talks about democracy, that talks about so many, that talks about that it is not tired of preaching the whole world about the democratic values, and is resistant to a woman becoming president of United States. That is a big paradox of American democracy, American paradox. When Joseph Nye writes his next book, he must think about it. He must ponder over it. Why American democracy, limits to American democracy. He should title his book. He has written his book Limits to American Power. And now he should write the book Limits to American Democracy. This is a sad and blot on the American political system, and that they are not electing a woman president. I mean, it could be Kamala Harris or anyone. I'm not just talking about Kamala Harris only, but anyone. Even earlier, Hillary Clinton was defeated because she was a woman. So this is the sad case of United States.
Okay, coming to Anil now. Anil, this election was also consequential in the sense of the campaigning and the outreach both leaders did, and in that process, the newspapers and the opinion polls that they were coming out with were clearly taking sides, unlike what we see in India. Of course, we have seen in the recent past that opinion polls were not exactly there when the results actually came out. But what do you have to say on all of this?
Well, Tanvi, unlike India, where at least the editorial board don't ever take sides when it comes to elections, or even saying that X has an edge over Y. In America, the editorials very much take a position because it's opinions and opinions that help people decide. So in that context, in America, you would see that newspapers, at least in the editorial, take this position, and it helps to a very large extent, at least the readers who are undecided, who are fence sitters, to maybe take a call on that fine print that they read and they understand from those editorials. Having said that, look at 2024 elections. Fewer newspapers have endorsed either of the candidates. When you compare that with 2020 or 2016. There have been many editorial boards that have faced a lot of log jams, especially when it comes to backing Trump or Kamala Harris. But all in all, one takes a look at the editorials and the support that Kamala Harris has got. She's managed to get an edge with close to 80 newspapers backing her and close to 10 backing Trump. But having said that, exactly the opposite was what happened in 2020. But this time around, we'll wait and watch how things pan out. But clearly, purely in terms of support that newspapers and editorials have extended to both the candidates in the presidential race, Kamala Harris holds the edge, Trump not. But the results and the early indications that we've got, the projections that we've got, indicate a totally different picture. We'll wait and watch how this particular election numbers as they come out, as the race for the White House becomes clearer and better. But we'll wait for the swing states. The only two swing states, the results we have got, one is swung in Trump's favor. Can Pennsylvania be the decisive factor? Because that's where in the 2020 elections, it almost took 4 days for the results to come. Are we going to see a repeat of that this time around? There have been, at least in 4 swing states, there have been security threats, bomb hawks calls that have been made. But all in all, the security agencies have done all that is necessary to see to it that the voting process has been smooth and people have been taken to different places so that the voting process could be completed. But having said that, this particular elections, the 7 swing states could hold the decisive, between the red and the blue on who takes the march towards White House. On that context, this particular election is one of the closest elections that America is witnessed and the world is enjoying.
Indeed, a very close fight happening there, and the 3 blue wall states still holding the key. Coming to you, Rajiv ji, from India's point of view, what are the pros and cons of Kamala Harris being elected president versus Donald Trump being elected, especially from the economic and security aspects?
We are comfortable, at the same time, so we may have problems. So I think we should be ready for that. Kamala Harris, yes, she is a Democrat, and she has got her viewpoints on human rights and many other issues. not get along with the American administration on their its recent steps, or you can say moves on Khalistani militants, terrorists, whatever we call it, and they become community leaders. That is sad part. This is one part, but otherwise, Biden administration, and we expect that if Kamala Harris wins, let us assume that Kamala Harris wins, she will continue most of the policies, most, I will not say all the policies, because she is slightly harsh on Israel, and her policy may have a little bit of change, not much, but some changes on Israel. But on China, at least I find Biden better than Trump. Trump was aggressive, and on somehow he started a trade war with China, and but Biden continued it, and he continued it in Spain. Earlier, when Trump was president, on Pakistan, we found his stand changing almost twice a day. So that was a matter of worry. The Indian government had to manage to just put him on place.
Rajiv ji, there's a little bit of a problem with your audio connection there. We'll come back to you as we fix this. Yes, so let's talk a little bit about how the stock markets have, traded today. Stock's extended gains, treasury yields jumped while the dollar hit the highest since July as early returns bolstered trades that have for months risen with Donald Trump's election prospects. So with polls closed in more than two-thirds of the states, S&P 500 futures were up almost 1%. US 10-year yields rose 12 basis points to a 4-month high over 4.39%, and Bitcoin rallied 3% moves that together bore the imprint of trades linked to a Republican victory. While results were still being collected and polls remained open in 9 states, the ex-president's odds of election were climbing on betting markets and on national forecasting sites such as Decision Desk HQ. And talking of Asian stock markets, equities in Japan and Australia climbed, shares in Hong Kong slipped though, and the Japanese yen slid 1%, Mexican peso dropped 2%. And also let's speak a little bit about the Indian markets. The benchmark equity indices BSE, Sensex and Nifty 50 gained at the opening bell on Wednesday as early trends showed Donald Trump leading the race for US presidential elections. At the opening bell, the BSE Sensex was up 283 points, so 0.36%, while Nifty 50 was at 24,271, up 57 points, while the Indian rupee fell 14 paise to an all-time low of 84 rupees 23 paise against the US dollar in early trade on Wednesday. Okay, Anil, let's get these stock market news into perspective from you. So the Wall Street is upbeat, certainly, but the Asian stocks are also following the broader trends in the global market.
Well, Tanvi, let's put this into perspective. The American elections and especially the presidential elections don't have much of a bearing on the stock markets per se. The last 6 elections that America has seen on election day, the markets tend to end in the green irrespective of the fact that there is a change in guard or there isn't. 2020 was a perfect example when Trump lost and Joe Biden was almost in the lead. The markets ended in the green. This time around too, there are similar indications of something very likely to happen. But having said that, the markets are very much in the green. The markets don't seem to be, matching steps with how the election results are panning out in America. The markets have taken a strong stance. They are very much in the green. There's a bull run that you see, especially in the American markets, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, everything going almost in the green, and a very reflective mood being seen across the markets everywhere in the world except for COPSI that has seen a 1% drop. But having said that, all in all, markets generally don't reflect or don't catch the sentiment that election results bring about. But as the day pans out, maybe we look at close of the Indian markets and the opening of European markets could give you a much clearer picture on how stock markets could play out as the American results come out. But indications are the Bitcoin rise or the Bitcoin 3% jump that we are seeing, especially in the cryptocurrency market, is indicative of Trump, they believing that Trump is going to be back at the White House, because cryptocurrency or the cryptocurrency industry was banking on this particular movement, that Trump coming back would be beneficial for the cryptocurrency. And I think we'll wait for the results to unfold. But as things stand, the markets not matching steps with the US elections, but very much enjoying a bull run there on a day when America decides.
Okay. Coming back to you, Rajiv ji, which of the two candidates is likely to prove better for the American economy?
Definitely, Donald Trump is expected to push economy quite further, and the rally which you are seeing in the stock markets all over the world, even Indian stock market has got just now a checked Sensex, it is 0.70% up. So it means, yeah. So generally it is believed to be a man, as I told you in the earlier segment, that he's a businessman president, and he's a dealer. He's a wheeler dealer kind of president. He's a person who had got this business background. He knows how to cut deal. If you can recollect, he asked even European countries that please pay for NATO. Please at least have 2% less, not less than 2% of your GDP should be contributed to the NATO budget. And he also asked at that time German economy was doing very well, and Angela Merkel, she was a right-wing leader, but considered to be quite good business person and economic person. And he just did a turnaround of German economy. And he asked her, please contribute, just don't accumulate wealth. Spread wealth for the world also. America is not going to do it alone. And again, you can recollect during his tenure, American economy, despite all the problems, COVID-19 was hitting the world at that time and hit the world at that time. Economy did quite well. When he had contested election with Biden, so in fact, he was projecting his economic credentials to say that, look, I improved the American economy. It was on the facing since the financial crisis, it was not doing very good. But just see what I did to the American economy, and what I have got promises. I know how to improve the health of American economy. But at that time, people overlooked his claims. He has got many problems. Like, he is not a very sophisticated person. I mean, global sophisticated indexing, if you just measure. He has got very abrupt and rude way of telling things, which is very unlike American president, and unlike traits of say developed countries leader, because they keep preaching. So these factors are there. So in fact, all the polls indicated that Trump had taken at more than 10% lead over Kamala Harris on the economic front. On other issues like on abortion or this or that, maybe Kamala Harris was leading. But on this issue, at least Donald Trump had made a massive lead over Kamala Harris. And I think that is this is what I told earlier.
Yes.
I think this clicked. This clicked among American population, and they thought that okay, the other things are fine, and we'll think about other social issues, social and other. But at least we have to be comfortably placed at my place. He's also promised that I will bring in inflation down, and that generally happens all over the world.
So after all, it's about pursuing the great American dream, isn't it?
Right. So, and comparing what had happened during his time, during his presidency and price now, and that in fact has gone down quite well among people there. So they started believing it, and many not I'll say opinion polls, but even many write-ups. Even those who were sympathetic to Democrats or Kamala Harris started acknowledging the fact that he is starting having a better chord on this particular issue, and he's striking a chord with the population on the lifestyle, on the cost of living, and growth, employment. So all these things are very important in any society. Even in Indian society, the last president, prime minister, parliamentary election, we found that yeah, employment was also a factor. So it is a global phenomenon. So Americans are not just different. So they are also there. And as I told you, this is a country of immigrants, and they go there not to pursue American democratic dreams. Some of them, yes, some those who are in exiles and those who ran away from authoritarian states, they may be having. But in general, I am saying predominantly people go there to cherish or to realize their American economic dreams, better opportunities, better life, job prospects, and that's a reality. It's a stark reality of the American society. And of course, there's many of them are American voters also. They get citizenship. You cannot get citizenship so easily in many other parts of the world, especially West Asia. There are many of our people there in Gulf, but they don't have political rights. So in the United States, the world people go from all over the world, and they enjoy their political rights also. They vote, they contest elections. Kamala Harris is demonstrating that what an immigrant can do there. But yes, there are limitations. That limitations are also coming to the surface in this election results. That yeah, the American democracy is not perfect, but it is a very good democracy, democratic model, no doubt about that. But limitations we also have to take into account.
Yes. On that note, let's wind up this discussion. Thank you very much, Rajiv Nayanji, for joining us on the show and giving us your perspective on this crucial, consequential battle for the White House. Thank you very much, Anil Thomas, joining us with all the latest on the polling trends. Thank you, both of you, gentlemen.